honoring yourselves by being yourselves. We give honors to our Grand National Seal. We give honors to our Grand National Emblem, National Flag, Divine Constitution, and bylaws. And honors to all of you who are indeed a living manifestation and personification of everything. And I do mean everything that our holy prophet brought to make us a nation. But let us come forth with our ancient committee and adept Moorish American prayer. And as we come forth, we ask that you open up your hearts and minds as we open up the way. Islam, Islam, Islamism. Ya Allah ebnu heru makuneteru. Ya Allah ebhet heru. Ya Allah ma'at heru. Ya Allah hutep heru. Ya Allah heru. Ya Allah ma'at herkuti. Ya Allah ahwajeta juti. Ya Allah prit to take prit heru. Ya Allah bamaduti. Al hajat shepsis rab to Ali. Amen. Halias, Halias, Halias. And that is the same Moorish kin in transliteration. O Allah, the Father of the universe. O Allah, the Father of love. O Allah, the Spirit of truth. O Allah, the Spirit of peace. O Allah, the Spirit of freedom. O Allah, the Spirit of justice. O Allah, you are my protector. O Allah, you are my guide. O Allah, you are my salvation by night and by day. O Allah, through your holy prophet. O Allah, Drew Ali. Amen. Holy Yessa, Holy Yessa, Holy Yessa. Islam, Moorish kin. And now we come forth before you with the divine constitution of Moorish America. Salvation, our God, unity. The 7 supreme constitutional acts of law. Act 1. The Grand Sheikh and the Chairman of Moorish America are empowered to make law and enforce laws for the assistance of the Prophet and the grand body of Moorish America. The Assistant Grand Sheikh is to assist the Grand Sheikh in all affairs, if he lives according to love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, and it is known before the citizens of Moorish America. The bylaws, Act 2. All meetings are to be opened and closed promptly, according to the Circle 7 in love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Friday is our holy day of rest, because on a Friday the first man was formed in flesh. And on a Friday the first man departed out of flesh and ascended unto his Father God Allah. For that cause, Friday is the holy day for all Muslims all over the world. Act 3. Love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice must be proclaimed and practiced by all citizens of Moorish America. No citizen is to put in danger or accuse falsely his brother or sister on any occasion at all that may harm his brother or sister, because Allah is love. Act 4. All citizens must preserve these holy and divine laws, and all citizens must obey the laws of the government, because by being a Moorish American, you're part and parcel of the government and must live the life accordingly. Act 5. No organization of Moorish America is to cause any confusion or to overthrow the laws and constitution of the said government, but to obey hereby. Act 6. With us, all citizens must proclaim their nationality, and we are teaching our people their nationality in their divine creed, that they may know that they are part and parcel of this said government, and know that they are not Negroes, colored folks, black people, or Ethiopians, because these names were given to slaves by slave holders in 1779 and lasted until 1865 during the time of slavery. But this is a new era of time now, and all men now must proclaim their free national name to be recognized by the government in which they live in the nations of the earth. This is the reason why Allah, the great God of the universe, ordained noble Drew Ali the prophet to redeem his people from their sinful ways. The Moorish Americans are the descendants of the ancient Moabites, whom inhabited the northwestern and southwestern shores of Africa. Act 7. All citizens must promptly attend their meetings and become a part and a parcel of all uplifting acts of Moorish America. Moorish Americans must pay their dues and keep in line with all necessities of Moorish America, and then you're entitled to the name of faithful. Husband, you must support your wife and children. Wife, you must obey your husband and take care of your children and look after the duties of your household. Sons and daughters must obey father and mother and be industrious and become a part of the uplifting of fallen humanity. All Moorish Americans must keep their hearts and minds pure with love and their bodies clean with water. This divine covenant is from your holy prophet, Noble Drew Ali, through the guidance of his Father God Allah. Prophet Noble Drew Ali, peace and blessings be upon him, founding father and framer of the divine constitution and bylaws of Moorish America. And now that this meeting has been opened according to the Triune Acts, Acts 1, 2, and 3 in love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, we say Islam. Islam, Islamism. The providence of Allah is ever all his works. He ruleth and directeth with infinite wisdom. He hath instituted laws for the government of the world. He hath wonderfully varied them in all beings, and each by his nature conformeth to his will. Shimotepu Moorish King.
Islam, Islam, Islam. Gratitude to our National Assistant Grand Chief, Dr. Shadawaminti and Moheji Shepsuel, for opening up the way according to law. I am the National Grand Secretary of the State of Indiana, Dr. Sa'anatinu Heshwaru El, and I rise giving perfect praises to our Father God Allah and the highest honors to our Holy Prophet El Haj Sharif Abdul Ali. I would like to extend honors to all of Act 1 and also honors to our theocratic Moorish American government, honors to our royal consul, honors to our Grand National Seal, our Grand National Emblem, and our Grand National Flag, the Moorish flag, and honors to our divine constitution and bylaws. Honors to all of you for being here in this Moorish perspective class. Islam, Islam, Islam. Chapter 42. Yehoshua appears fully materialized to the eastern sages in the palace of Prince Ravana in India. To the Magian priest in Persia, 3 wise men speak in praise of the personality of the Nazarene. Ravana, Prince of India, gave a feast. His palace in Orissa was the place where men of thought from all of the further east were wont to meet. Ravana was the prince with whom the child Yehoshua went to India with when 12 years old. The feast was made in honor of the wise men of the east. Among the guests were Mengsei, the Yapidi, and Lamas. The wise men sat about the table talking about the needs of India and the world. The door upon the banquet hall was in the east. A vacant chair was at the table to the east. And as the wise men talked, a stranger entered, unannounced, and raising up his hands in benediction, said, "All hail." A halo rested on his head, and light, unlike the light of sun, filled all the room. And Yehoshua sat down in the vacant chair. And then the wise men knew it was the Jewish prophet who had come. And Yehoshua said, "Behold, for I am risen from the dead. Look at my hands, my feet, my side." The Roman soldiers pierced my hands and feet with nails, and then one pierced my heart. They put me in a tomb, and then I wrestled with the conqueror of men. I conquered death, I stamped upon him in a rose, brought immortality to light, and painted on the walls of time a rainbow for the sons of men. And what I did, all men shall do. The gospel of the resurrection of the dead is not confined to Jew and Greek. It is the heritage of every man, of every time and clime, and I am here a demonstrator of the power of man. Then he arose and pressed the hand of every man and of the royal host and said, Behold, I am not mist made of the fleeting wind, for I am flesh and bone and bronze, but I can cross the borderland at will. And they looked apart and they talked together there a long, long time. And Yehoshua said, I go my way, but you shall go to all the world and teach the gospel of the omnipotence of man, the power of truth, the resurrection of the dead. He who believes this gospel of the Son of Man shall never die. The dead shall live again. Then Yehoshua disappeared, but he had sown the seed. The words of life were spoken in Arisa, and all of India heard. The Magian priests were in the silence of Persepolis, and Casper and the Magian masters, who were first to greet the child of promise in the shepherd's home in Bethlehem, were with the priest. And Yehoshua came and sat with him. A crown of light was on his head. And when the silence ended, Casper said, A master from the royal council of the Silent Brotherhood is here. Let us give praise. And all the priests and masters stood and said, All hail. What message from the royal council do you bring? And Yehoshua said, My brother of the Silent Brotherhood, peace on earth, goodwill to men. The problem of the age has been solved. A son of man has risen from the dead, has shown that human flesh can be transformed into flesh divine. Before the eyes of men, this flesh in which I come to you was changed with speed of light from human flesh, and so I am the message that I bring to you. To you I come, the first of all the race, to be transmuted to the image of Allah. What I have done, all men will do, and what I am, all men shall be. So Yehoshua said no more. In one short breath, he told the story of his mission to the sons of men, and then he disappeared. The Magi said, Some time ago we read this promise, now fulfilled upon the dial plate of heaven, and then we saw this man who has just demonstrated unto us the power of man to rise from carnal flesh and blood to flesh of Allah, a babe in Bethlehem. And after many years, he came and sat with us in these same groves. He told the story of his human life, of trials, sore temptation, buffeting and woe. He pressed along the thorny way of life, till he had risen and overthrown the strongest foe of Allah and man. And he is now the only master of the human race, whose flesh had been transmuted into flesh divine. He is the God-man of today. But everyone of earth shall overcome and be like him, a son of Allah. Islam, Islam, Islam. Today is April 22nd, 2023, and welcome to another Moorish Perspective class sponsored by our Moorish American government. Our host instructor is our National Assistant Grand Chief, Dr. Shadow Aminti Amohedi Shepsuel. Come 42, Ayat 35. Ali told the story of his human life, of trials, sore temptation, buffeting and woes. Gratitude to our National Assistant Grand Chief for opening up the way according to law. And gratitude to our National Grand Secretary of the state of Indiana, Dr. Saad Natanu L, for taking registration and also reading the chapter of the week. Morris can kindly check your emails for our National Assistant Grand Chief YouTube platform invitation. We should be live streaming now. And also keep your pens and papers on hand. This will be greatly appreciated. At this time, I will call to the floor our host instructor, Islam National Assistant Grand Chief, Dr. Shedo Aminti Yamohedi Shepsuel.
Islam, can you hear me, Goddess and Queen?
Clear as a bell. Gratitude.
Okay, gratitude. Islam, Islam, Islam. Islam, Moorish America. Having already risen, we continue to rise in ascension, giving praises to the great God Allah. We rise upon the seven, giving praises to the great God Allah and honors to his holy prophet. Honors to our holy prophet, Noble Drew Ali Al-Hajj, Sharif Abdul Ali, that is. We give honors to our Moorish kin once again, here, there, and everywhere. And therefore, honors to all of you who are continuously honoring yourselves by being yourselves. We give honors to our Grand National Seal. We give honors to our Grand National Emblem, National Flag, Divine Constitution and Bylaws, and honors to all of you who are indeed a living manifestation and personification of everything, and I do mean everything, that our holy prophet brought to make us a nation. I want to welcome you to another Moorish Perspectives, and I'm your host instructor, Dr. Shahid Imani Mohadi Shabazil. My ancient committee and high name being the same as Dr. Shedawa Mintiel Muhejit Shepsuel. And we most definitely have a grand drawing to bring forth to our Moorish kin. So all of those who are willing to come forth and participate, all are welcome. This is a grand drawing that we have to bring forth. And hopefully, it becomes insightful, for all of those who are seeking the truth and all of those who are trying to be the truth. You see? Because if this is not the intent, then one would always live in a lie. So our subject title for tonight is Ali told the story of his human life, of trials, sore temptation, and buffeting and woes. And if we understand this in special measure, we can also see how he pressed along the thorny way of life until he had risen and overthrown the strongest foes of Allah and man. You see? And he is now the only master of the human race whose flesh has been transmuted into flesh divine when it comes to dealing with this Moorish American body. He was the first. He was the original. He was the one who paved the way, laid the foundation so that we may be able to be here today and call ourselves Moorish Americans. Prophet Noble Drew Ali. So indeed, he told his story. And the story of his human life, was a lot similar to what it is that we had come up out of. There's often a statement where we refer to the state in which we had been found. You see, he was found in that same state, a state of, NBC, a state of not knowing exactly who he was. And he came into a consciousness of himself and became a master mind. And not only a master mind, but a master of men, meaning he became a teacher of men. So this is just dealing with the human aspects, of coming up out of the condition that he was in, how he became to be known as, the exalted one, or Al-Ali, the most high, so to speak, Ali, Again, he had trials like we had. He had temptations, so to speak, the sore temptations of life, the buffetings and the woes. It was a temptation just trying to teach our people. That was a sore temptation, when it comes to dealing with our holy prophet, because his intent was honorable. But yet his people were not ready. They were not accepting of what it is that he had to bring to them. They didn't accept his mission. They could care less that he was raised up to uplift them, to guide them, to save them, to redeem them from their sinful. They could care less about all of this, most of those who didn't know no better. So these were buffetings and woes, that our holy prophet had to deal with, being on the plane of things made manifest. We ain't speculate. We know that's what it was. And we know that by certain things that he stated when it came to his oral statements. And you're talking about a holy and most illustrious prophet, born January 8, 1926 now. 1986 now. Not 19, but 1886. I'm thinking about 1929, putting the birth and the coming forth and all that together. But nevertheless, time never was. But January 8th, 1886, the prophet came on the manifest amongst those people who had been in a state of what we call mental slavery. They were asleep within the arms of death. They were sleeping within the arms of death now. Nobody cared to uplift them and tell them who they were. Nobody cared to come teach them who they were. Nobody cared to tell them that they had a nationality, Moorish American. Nobody cared to tell them that they had one free national name and that they could be raised up whole and intact if they embraced this one free national. Nobody told them that but Prophet Noble Drew Ali. We know that to this date. In fact, most of the people who have, after having heard of who the prophet is, are standing in staunch opposition to the message that he demonstrated. So when we say he was the only one and is the only one that is taught this is an actual fact. He the only one taught you were Moorish American. If he didn't teach you, who else taught you? Point them out, right? So when it comes to dealing with all of those things that he had to come through, he went through them so that he may better secure our people from the plane of soul. Secure and secure. So the prophet, as we always tell you, he's not dead. He's very well and much alive, though we may not even perceive it to be this way. This ain't no spookism. Again, the spirit is always ever present. It lives on. But I want to go into some of the things because sometimes we may forget as a people what it is that we had to come through in order to get here where we at now. We forget about this here. You can say anything you want to say about anybody else, but we know for sure that Prophet Noble Drew Ali died for us when it comes to dealing with the physical aspect. He literally gave his life for us. And if you can't accept that and knowing the history, then something is truly wrong with you. If you can accept a history of Yehoshua of 2,000 years ago and embrace that and fall in love, because that's what they did, fell in love. They didn't rise in love. You fall in love with that Eurocentric doctrine and what they was pushing about Yehoshua. And you can see your brother man in this new era in time drop the guard for you so that he may continue to teach you from the plane of soul. Death is not an enemy to man, but a friend. But nevertheless, this was a part of the process in order that we may progress. Because there the enemy can't hide. So when it deals with this special drawing, if we know this to be true, then why is it so hard for us to accept him as being the one that was sent to uplift us and deliver us, since he came in the same power and even more greater, so to speak, than all of those who came before him, because he represented the culmination of the power. He represented the unity, the cohesion of that power coming back through another vessel. Again, we ain't dealing with spookism, we dealing with reality. Some of the things that he went through, while he was here dealing with his people in this human life, this mad human life, which we call a drama, mad human drama, right? We know he was opposed by his people as soon as he stood up to teach his people. We know that for a fact. He was opposed by those who thought they were PhDs. He was opposed by those who thought they had a bachelor's degree. He was opposed by those who thought they had a master's degree. He was opposed by those who thought they had an associate's degree. And did I say the talented 10th? That's what they called him back then, right? He was opposed by those who thought they had a good European education. But upon investigation, we find that they were lacking a true European education, because they thought that a true European education had to do with going up into the European schools and colleges and so forth and so on. They had no idea that the true European education had to do with what we had suffered under oppression. And so basically the measure as it would go is say, well, have you learned anything yet? What have you learned as a result of your oppression? What have you learned from the action of your oppressor? See, this is the question that we have to ask ourselves. Because if you learn something, now you can earn something. If you know better, now you can do better. So if in fact Prophet Noble Drew Ali told us that if we got a good European education, he can use us, then how much is it that we have learned outside of these so-called degrees they gave you? I'm talking about day-to-day basis and how you have been taught. What have you learned from your oppressor? What have you learned as a result of your oppression? I'm gonna let you sit back and let them, thought marinate, so to speak, on that special demonstration. What have you learned? This is what you have to ask yourself. And if you learn your lesson well, then you have got a good European education, because you learn who the oppressor is, you learn what oppression is, and you learn to the extent that where you saying in your mind, never again will I allow myself to be done that way. Never again will I allow myself to become somebody else's pushover. Never will I allow somebody to, bully me around, or whatever the case may be, or just treat me any type of way. The prophet talks about it, and he said that this behavior, is referred to in the reference of any way, any particular expression that they care to bestow upon you. Then this is what they're going to do. I'm going to do it because I can do it, boy. I'm going to do it because I can do it, gal, a girl, or whatever you want to call it. This is the mindset, right? But that's neither here nor there. The question again is, what have you learned as a result of the education that you receive? Because experience is the best teacher. So what was your experience? Ask yourself that question. What was your experience under the oppression of your oppressor? And then you will see the need as to why you had to have one that will bring you some salvation, that will bring you the knowledge of your God, that will bring you into oneness of the unity with you and your people. You see? So Prophet Noble Drew Ali was most definitely opposed by those who thought they had a good European education. But upon investigation, we found that most of those were sellouts. Most of those were cutthroats. And we can go into a whole bunch of different expressions when we talk about those who had opposed him. But he addressed them. In what way did he address them? Because, every word the prophet spoke was spirit. So he gave divine warnings. He gave holy instructions, not the way that a preacher would give them to you, not the way that a rabbi would give them to you, or even an imam. He gave you holy instructions that you would be able to make applicable to your particular condition in order that you may better yourself. If you believe that your condition can be better, right? So he told the Moors that the Moors are men upright, independent, and fearless, who care for their loved ones and follow the prophet to a destiny in which is not uncertain nor unknown. And they are fortified by the impregnable doctrine built upon love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Right? So he said also, it is therefore folly at its greatest height for smelly culprits with their insidious plans to invade such a realm. This lets you know that he had a lot of opposition. He told you about those who would find a difficult path to travel within the ranks of the Moors because of it being a divine plan. See, this is a divine and national movement. It's neither 360 degrees national and 360 degrees divine alone. It is 360 degrees divine and national as a whole, meaning full circle is what he brought forth. So for those who think they know something about law and being lawmen or standing on law, he gave you a national appeal. To those who think that you was more linked to your spiritual side, he had that for you too. And then on top of that, the way that he brought this to you in its encapsulated form, so to speak, summarized, so to speak, he actually brought it to you in a way to where you can honor all truth, all books of truth, and everything that ever come on the manifest. So, he knew those who were interested. He knew the people that were with him and those who were against him. He knew those who were passive aggressive, those who were active. He knew those who were schemers and traitors, all of the culprits, so to speak, that went in opposition to him. And he told you what was going to happen to him. That was in his address, Caveat Emptor. The prophet also gave many warnings, telling his officers to renew their acts and mend their ways, because the great conference is on its way. And it is where the law would be enforced before the great grand body. You see? He even said during that time on his lawfully chartered organization that the continuance of those who were present officers, executive rulers in the temple at that time, and we at the level of government, he said it would depend on their past good works. You see? And there are those who have been delinquent may now know that they will not be tolerated any longer. These are the prophet's words, not mine. So he said, because this great and divine national movement must move according to law, and these things shall be proclaimed. There is no favorite in any of the consulates For the law is laid down, and everyone who claims to be a part of the work must be governed accordingly. All are one. There's but one government, and there's but one Moorish American nation. There's but one prophet of this government. And so our holy prophet was one who was addressing the nations. He was preparing them for the exhument of a nation where we are now. He also talked about, one being under the influence of intoxicating liquors, or you can be intoxicated with egocentricity. You can be intoxicated with your own volition, so to speak. What you want to do, your prerogative, you can be intoxicated with that. You see? But what he told the Moors is that when you get into this state right here, you ain't even supposed to be on the rostrum, demonstrate no evil motives and speaking those things that will prejudice the minds of the public against the movement. And then he said, if any of those laws are violated, anybody of grand sheiks or sheiks can file a charge in violation of the grand body over which the prophet resides. We know the prophet presides over our grand body as the supreme ruler of executive rulers. You see, this power is vested in 7 or more, at that time, sheiks for the protection of the government and divine movement. Even though they say temple, we say government. And so there were 7. There were 7 postulates that those who are Moorish had to answer to. That's what we got to get into the knowledge of. So he had a lot of opposition, and he made that emphasis about them intoxicating liquors, because there was a lot of Moors out there that was intoxicated now. You see, this is when they begin to speak and act under harmful motives, because they are moving according to the dictates of the fire spirit. Y'all know how it go. We ain't new to this. You see? This is a powerful demonstration, Moorish King. It's a very powerful demonstration. So, and see, I like this. We got somebody right now in our comments say, government or what? Invisible slavery still running the whole earth. And this is the thought pattern that we're dealing with, because our people don't believe that they can demonstrate self-determination. They think it's something wrong with demonstrating self-determination when this is your God-given right. They rather complain on what something is or why something isn't done, rather than doing what they are supposed to do. Slavery is running the earth because those who are slaves choose to be enslaved. But you can't enslave a God. That's the teaching that we teach here in the Moorish American government. So anybody that's a slave in this new era in time, family, they are slaves because they choose to be. Believe that. And don't let nobody else tell you nothing different. So, Prophet Noble Drew Ali did his best to uplift his people. But he also understood that his people were not yet ready to wake up. This is why he say, wake up, you sleepy-headed Moors. He say, you sleep too much. Huh? I don't care nothing about somebody out there talking about woke this and woke that. Don't mean nothing to me. Wake up, you sleepy-headed Moors. You sleep too much. And you know what happens when you fall asleep behind the wheel, right? What happens when you fall asleep behind the wheel, family? Let that marinate. Think about that. Prophet Noble Drew Ali he also went into certain measures where he had to address on numerous different occasions those who were in opposition. You know, he had to address these things and he didn't shrink from his duty in addressing them. You know, in one aspect, the main thing he said, I hereby inform all members in that time that they must put away an end to all radical agitating speeches while on their jobs, in their homes, on the public streets. He said, we advocate peace and not destruction. Stop trying your cards with the Europeans, for it causes confusion. And there's been much confusion caused by members or those with a membership mentality trying out their cards, and the cards are for your salvation. Failure to obey these orders or my orders will be of severe consequence. We are for love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. And when these principles are violated, justice must take its course. So what does it mean to try out your card for the European in this new era and time? It has to do with thinking that freedom is a game, thinking that it's all about challenging assumable jurisdiction. Do you know that when you are challenging assumable jurisdiction, you actually give empowerment to the jurisdiction? How is that possible? Because you acknowledge that it's jurisdiction over you. It's not Rome's fault that you are still looking at him as your master now. It's not Rome's fault that you are still looking at Rome, as your God. It's not Rome's fault that you are still looking to Rome to deliver you from the condition that Rome placed you in. That ain't Rome's fault. That's your fault. Because doubt is of thine own raising. It is your thought that keeps you enslaved. It is your thoughts that keep you oppressed. It is your thought that keep the boot of oppression on your neck. And this is all because our people are hard-headed, mean, stiff-necked set of people that have never did anything except at the point of a scimitar. That's Prophet Noble Drew Ali words. So if you want to get mad at somebody, get mad at the prophet. I don't know how good that's going to turn out for you, but them his words, not mine. You see, we got a brother here, and I'm glad he's saying this. This brother Guardian A. Cretans. We're going to make this a part of our measure since this one is real time over here. He said, I'm doing my part for years. You didn't choose anything. Most of the parents, ignorance, and our brother can't really spell that good because he's throwing me off with what he's saying. Ignorance of the maritime laws signed that slave contract. See, that's where we go astray at. So we already know this brother has a UCC mentality, whoever he is. You see? And he's talking about maritime laws. What power in the state that you are, family, and we addressing the people. As the brother give us these men, we addressing the people, not him per se. What powers do you have over the land and water if you don't even know who made you? Answer that question, right? What power do you have over land and water? Because land and water is the expression of law. So how can law govern the event when you don't know what the law is? When you don't know what supreme law is? Again, when you don't know what self-determination is. You see? You see? Yeah, that's what we talk about because maritime law ties in with UCC. I'm very familiar with the documents, the instruments, and all of that. That's called common law, family. And that falls on the universal commercial codes. Trust me when I tell you that. If you don't know that, and you talking like that, then I can tell you most definitely have been deceived. So nevertheless, when we deal with Prophet Noble Drew Ali, he dealt with the same type of opposition. And he addressed it. He said that the end time is drawing near. He told the people to be faithful to their forefathers' divine and national creed, and they will be blessed for their good deeds now. But he said the end of time is drawing near, meaning this was an urgent moment in history. So says Allah to his divine prophet, I Noble Drew Ali, and that is why many hearts have been turned to stone, many eyes to see but cannot see, ears to hear but cannot hear, lest they would be confounded of their sins. He came to redeem the people from their sinful ways. But you can't save everybody. He even told you that he can count on his fingers and still have some left over on his hand. He can count and still have some left over on how many of our people gonna get it right. Because being saved has to do with one bringing themselves out from that oppression themselves. If you talk about a nation and nationality, we have to determine within ourselves that we will be a nation. This is self-determination. No one has a power over you, no monopoly over you, whereas you basically are subject to somebody else's jurisdiction unless you believe their power extends beyond God, i.e., your higher state of consciousness. When you know better, you do better. It ain't nobody else coming outside of you to save you. Nobody scaling no clouds or none of that. You have to awaken to the divinity within yourself. You have to come into the higher self. We ain't talking old spooky new age philosophy. In other words, you have to find God or the God within your God head. Either you got a God head or you got a dog head. You see? And in most cases, we know Anpu, even in Egypt or Kemet, with the head of the dog, guided one through the underworld, right? So we know you got to be dealing with the lower self if you're dealing with that dog, right? Somebody got to be dead if that dog-headed deity got to lead one, right? So when we deal with true life, this comes from above the neck. This is your source. This is the life-giving source, the source that inspired you, the same source that struck the essence of the womb and caused life to spring forth after that seed had been planted within the soil. You see? The same life that struck within the darkness of divinity and light became manifest. Everything that happened or occurred in creation took place in you. Because that's the macrocosm that we call the universe. You are the microcosm. You are the God that has the ability to create something out of nothing for yourself. So it's not a question as to a government of what. It's as to when are you coming into the building of your own? Are you content with utilizing bogus building materials and thinking that you're going to build something top quality? You want to cheat your way through. You want to beat around the bush. You want the easy way out. You want to wait till somebody finish building it and then say, here I am. You don't want to wait. You want to wait till somebody else builds something and then jump on the bandwagon. But you don't want to roll your sleeves up and begin to build something from scratch because you don't have that courage. I'm speaking to our people in general. You don't have the drive You don't have the desire. You think that this is far-fetched. You think that this is a reach. And so you ever continue in that welfare recipient like mentality with your hands out, waiting for somebody to give you that in which you are able to obtain yourself, but you diminish your saving power because you are looking for it in somebody else outside of the self. You don't believe that you are one with God. You believe that you are a nigger because that's what they call you. You believe that you're a black man because that's what they call you. You believe that you're a colored man because that's what they called you. But when it comes to embracing your one free national name, the name that tie you to the land, minus doubt or contradiction, you got everything to say about that name. But you won't embrace the name that tie you to the land, and you wondering why you catching so much hell. You wondering why you can't come up out of the condition that you in. Didn't he say in the Piscean records, if my people who are called by my name would turn from their sinful ways and repent? Didn't he say he would heal them? So what's your name? Is it Negro? Is it black man? Is it colored man? Is it Ethiopian? Is that your name? Or did somebody else call you that? Let's be honest now. Since we want to tell the truth, we want to be truthful about everything. Who gave you that name? Who told you that you was a Negro, black, or colored man? Who told you was Ethiopian? Where did those names even come from? Were they even a part of the lexicon of our ancestors? Show me a black nation in Africa that has a black flag using that name. I ain't talking about no description and what somebody described it as. Show me one nation in Africa that called themselves a black nation. They're going to say they call themselves African. You see? Our brothers say, can you give us the etymology of the word nation? That's elementary. But what we do know, just going straight forward to you, a nation is a people that have their own culture. That's just getting straight to the point. They have their own way of expressing themselves. They have their own language. And ain't no such thing as no black nation because ain't no black language. I ain't seen nobody speak Blackanese yet. And see, this is the type of thing our people like to argue about. Africa is not the real name of the continent. We know what the real name of the continent is. It was first named by our ancestors. It was named Akubalan. The Moors named it that. Look that up. If you go and look that up, if you ask the question, what is the oldest name for the continent? They're going to tell you that it's Akubalan. But we know the prophet told us about a Mexim. And a Mexim itself means the land of the gods. Akubalan means the Garden of Eden. The whole world to our ancestors was the Garden of Eden, not one particular place. Even though there's a place that we call the Holy Land today, or the Holy City, the whole world was our garden. We indigenous to the planet. There's no place that you can go on earth where we wasn't there first. This is scientifically proven, emphatically the truth. So our holy prophet, coming through these different trials and sore temptations of trying to uplift a people who didn't want to be uplifted. This was a struggle, being one man, but yet and still he was able to inspire a nation and those who are on the manifest right now. So You know, the prophet said, these are the trying hours now, dear Moors, and every evil spirit is moving, and they are trying every weak mind to overthrow and drag out the true foundation that has been laid, and to cause confusion in the minds of the ones that do believe. But if you have true love of Allah and the spirit of your forefathers, you fear not of what you see, you hear or see, but will sacrifice the utmost of your very life to protect your movement and your prophet. That's what Prophet Noble Drew Ali said. How many feeling it like that? How many rocking with the prophet like that? How many willing to stand up on that particular portion of the teaching? He said, your enemies are the ones who speak against your prophet and ridicule him to the very lowest, and the ones who speak against your divine and national principles at that time of temples, in this time of your consulates, of your government. Act accordingly, and Allah will bless you for your good work. You see? He also stated, and this is just letting you know what Prophet Noble Drew Ali was along the way, and how he addressed, you know, those different situations. He said, Islam, I'm glad to know that I have a few faithful Moors among you, right? Among you all. And I desire for them to know the truth of the divine truth, right? The divine truth. There's a host of jealousy about me and the movement now. By the same people out, well, of our side of the nation that claim it was only a joke and unreal. But now, since they have found out from the government officials and the nations of the earth that this is the only sole foundation that all Asiatics must depend upon for their earthly salvation as American citizens at that time, they had to come into Moorish America. They are working every scheme that they can to disqualify me so they themselves may take charge of the situation. And living here right now in this new era in time, there's the same thing that is going on right now. The nations of the world, as we know it, Moorish kin, would not recognize this Moorish divine and national movement without the prophet being at the head, without the Moorish American government being at the head. Not in this new era in time. It's been proven by the work that the prophet had performed through the years. He's telling you, all the time he was addressing, you know, these different situations, family. All the time. The prophet was definitely aware of what was taking place around him. So he even stated this. He said, in promotion of plans for the betterment of mankind, there's ever been some kind of opposition. And strange as it may seem, such opposition has come from sources where there were no ideas or the lack of courage to force attention to ideas, whether in the church, the state, or social community. Any attempt to do anything out of the unusual way seldom fails to receive criticism, not because the course cannot be pursued legally or that it is unreasonable, but because it has been considered in terms as new. You see, he went into deeper measures in regards to dealing with that. But we see that those who are mostly opposing what it is that we demonstrate now, what have they done for the people? What are they doing for the people? We have those who would like to sit on the sidelines, come within the ranks and do nothing. They would like to criticize the work of those who are actually on the front line, but they have a fear themselves to go on the front line. They fear that their reputation will be damaged. They fear that they will be rejected for the message that they bring. They fear that they will be exposed for reaping in a scanty way when it comes to the knowledge, because they don't really know. They just know how to parrot what has been said. So they fear being challenged in regards to dealing with that knowledge, and they want to chop it up and say, you can't force the truth on our people. You know, you just got to let them do what they do. All the while, you ain't doing nothing. You ain't saying nothing. You ain't went nowhere to teach nobody nothing. And then every chance you get, you're trying to tear something down. Show me your works. What are your works? How many people have you raised with the truth that you know? How many people have you uplifted with the knowledge that you have? How many people have you brought out of the conditions that they are by the knowledge that you have, since you know so much? Who have you saved since you want to go that way? Show me your track record. Show me the people that you have brought remedy to outside of this teaching. Show me any time that you've been out there to teach these people, but yet you got something to say when it comes to somebody else doing the work. Anytime somebody else is out there doing the work, you got all the opinion in the world, but we ain't seen you do nothing yet. See, that's the sign of one who is seeking to destroy a movement. That's the sign of one seeking to tear down and drag out the true foundation, as the prophet said. See, either you gonna be on the right side of historicity in history when it comes to your people, or you gonna be on the wrong side. Ain't no ifs, ands, or buts about that. The line has already been drawn. So we ain't talking about waiting on nobody to come and save us. We gonna save ourselves. We ain't waiting for nobody to scale through no clouds. We're gonna keep emphasizing. We ain't waiting for nobody, to open up the heavens, because we know all of these things represent a state of mind. And if you don't have a God head, if you don't have a God-like mind, then you must be devilish. You must be down there in your basement. And you can't blame nobody because of what it is that you have went through as a result of your disobedience to your higher self. It ain't a God outside of the self that you disobeying. It's the higher God within your consciousness that you disobeying. And again, that's where the hell is coming from. That's where you being casted into that bottomless pit of the insufficiency of human knowledge. That's why you are being attacked on all sides by those five foes of man. That's why there's so much instability, inconstancy. All of that. The insufficiency of knowledge, misery, weakness. All of these are the devil that has kept our people in bondage. All of these represent Lucifer, Satan, devil, dragon, and beast. And it's all dealing with the lower self. It ain't nothing outside of self. Ain't nobody in no red pantaloons with a pitchfork. It's your own lower self that you've been blaming somebody else about. That same lower self that you love to wallow down in that filth. That's the same thing. We ain't pointing no fingers at those spooks. We ain't talking about no devil in nobody else. We talking about the one that's in your own consciousness. That's the fix that need to be solved. That's what needs to be reconciled, so to speak. One's relationship with that and their higher self. How well do you know yourself? Because it's easy to get up there and talk liberation. and hoorah and hoop and holler, but are you truly about the liberation of your people? Or are you an agent provocateur? Are you somebody else's pawn in the game, so to speak? Who are you? Who made you? Was it the great God, or was it your slave master? Was it the great God, or was it the slave maker, slave breaker, slave holder, slave catcher? Who made you? That's what we want to know. You see? Because we can't, again, blame our condition on anybody outside of ourselves. And I'm going to keep saying that until we get it. Until we get it, family. Our people out here dying daily, for nothing, for less. And then we have people out here claiming they know the truth, claiming they are the truth, they got the truth. But we ain't seen nobody pull our people up yet. Prophet Noble Drew Ali was able to do what it was that he did. He made it look easy. So what's your problem? What is our problem in this new era and time? The problem is that our people, even in a state of being ignorant, not having a knowledge, of a particular subject matter, they still want to argue. They want to go back and forth. How can you argue without knowledge? How can you debate and be so conceited or arrogant, to try to be eloquent in your own ignorance and talk about debating anybody when you don't know something? Soon as somebody tell you already disagree. You ain't even went and studied. You ain't read. You just disagree for the sake of disagreeing. I want to give you something, family. Those of you who really want to know who the adversary is, I'm going to give it to you this way. Anytime that you find yourself within the midst of your people and you have a plan to teach them, and bring them into the unity and oneness and so forth and so on, right? And there's one that is there in opposition. Everybody else in agreement now. But this one mind feel it has to show itself as a rival to all of the unity that everybody else is demonstrating. That's when you know you're dealing with the enemy. Anytime you put a concept out there on the manifest or an idea, and you talking about uplifting yourself by your own bootstraps and, demonstrating self-determination, they come and say, well, they're going to kill you if you try that, right? Or they're going to come and lock you. They're going to, when they thinking like that, family, that's a demarcated thought pattern. They not one with their Godhead. They are divided within themselves, so naturally they have a divisive thought pattern. It can be so much harmony being brought to the manifest, and it will still be the same. In the Grand Quran, there was one that was known as Iblis. And the root of the Arabic word Iblis is actually balasa or ablasa. It means a person of desperate character. Right? There is no verbal root of this word in the first form. Ablasa also means to be overcome with grief. Be desperate, again, struck dumb with despair. I want you to listen to these characteristics that's being described by this word, Iblis, ablasa, right? It says, remain disheartened and gloomy, stupefied, remain speechless. Iblis, it is derived from ablasa, which means who despaired. Good virtue became less or decreased, who became broken in spirit, mournful, who was perplexed and was unable to see his way. Notice this is referring to an individual. So this Iblis ain't no spooky jinn-like being floating around out here somewhere around us. This is talking about an individual that embodied the spirit. He was unable to find his way, who became silent on the account of grief or despair, who was cut short of silence in argument, who became unable to prosecute his journey, who was prevented from attaining his wish. This is Iblis. This is what makes a shaitan. This is what makes a devil. I can't have it my way. I can't do what I want to do. So I want to tear something up. I can't do what I want to do, so I'm going to be divisive. I can't do what I want to do, so I'm going to do my own thing anyway. Even if it don't lead me nowhere, I'm going to do what I want to do. It's my prerogative. You see? This is the mindset of those that can't have their way. A childlike mentality. A childlike mentality. I'm upset because you won't let me do what I want to do. So now you my enemy. Even if you standing on the law and you telling me what's right, I'm in opposition to you because you won't let me have my way. And this is sad because this is a mindset that has been embedded and embedded within our people. You know, where we think somebody owes us something, or we think that when we fall into hardship and suffering as a result of our own choices, we feel like somebody else has to be there to bear our pain. We feel like somebody else has to be there to take responsibility for why we suffering. We think somebody else supposed to be there, basically to carry our burden because we were taught this under slavery. This is the same doctrine that they gave us when they gave us the teachings in the church about Jesus. They wanted you to believe that they were God and that they was master. You see? This is the main reason why we continue to fall by climate, while other nations around us are constantly advancing. You want to find a reason to be different from your brother. You want to find a reason to be different from your sister. You want to find a reason to be divided. You want to find a reason to be in opposition and always in conflict and war. You don't want to find a reason to come to terms. Because when we can get beyond all of the infight, the conflict, debating over nothing, then we can begin to sit down and talk about the real process of bringing a solution instead of crying and whining about the problem. So either you're part of the problem or you're part of the solution. You can't be both. You got to be one, but you can't be both. Either you're a part of the problem, you're a part of your own problem, or you're a part of your own solution. Red pill, green pill. Pick which one. And I said green on purpose. So all I can say is we in trying times now. And if we don't get our acts together, all I can say is may the great God Allah have mercy upon those when the wrath unfolds. Because it's on the way. It's on the way. I want to go into a particular drawing, because and I like to call them crucified messiahs, so to speak, that came along the way. They were persecuted a lot of time by their own people, the same people that they were trying to uplift and save. Our holy prophet went through the same things. And so You know, he told the story of his human life. He lived it. The trial, sore temptation of trying to teach a hard-headed people that don't want to learn. You know, the buffeting and the woes that come with that. And also, again, you know, being able to recognize that he has the power to become a conqueror. You see? You see? And see, this is what I'm talking about right here. Like, we got our family right here again. We're gonna address this, and we're addressing it in love. We don't see no hatred there. We just see our family can't stop being demarcated. He can't stop with the thought of division. Don't be upset, bro. Why you here talking about Islam and Allah? We know what these fake Arabs and imposter slave masters are doing in Kemet. Massive destruction of our original culture. I want you to go and look into the works of our beloved brother, Dr. Ben, brother. Not Dr. Ben, but Dr. Clark on Islam. And he runs the history down. I actually have it here, but I ain't going to go into trying to pull the clips up right now. He would tell you by the time the Arabs made it into Kemet, my brother, Kemet had already fallen to other cultures before the Arabs got there. So the Arabs were dealing with the Greeks by the time the Arabs got in Kemet. Kemet had already been pillaged by many nations. So the so-called Arabs that you talking about didn't even meet the original Kemites. So you got to do your research, family. They came long after. They were dealing with the Ptolemies. And who cares if the Arabs overtook and overthrew the Ptolemies? Somebody had to get them up out of there at some time. You see? And also, we don't teach Arabization over here in the Moorish American government. We teach Islamism. In fact, we are the ones that in the Islamic community that speak up for our Moorish kin about what Arabs have done to our people. So see, this is what happened when you don't understand who you listening to or who talking to you. Because you begin to think, you know, that we as a people are following Arabs when Noble Drew Ali was opposed by those who was pushing an Arabized doctrine because he wasn't trying to be Arabized. He said that form of Islam was shot through with hocus pocus. And you had people running to Egypt to try to get a fatwa against Prophet Noble Drew Ali because he said that. So stop it with that foolishness. He didn't teach no Arabization of Islam. And nor do we. I can't speak for nobody else, but here we're going to tell you the truth. And if you listen long enough, you'll get it in due time. But like I said, you know, this is the story of the prophet. There was a brother, you know, because I also received certain teachings from a good brother, and he actually is a sheikh, but he ended up going to the palace. He's in the palace of Saudi Arabia now. You know, we will honor that brother as sheikh, but he really didn't claim the title, but he was definitely a master teacher. But that particular brother turned me on to the knowledge of a brother by the name of Betty Uzman Said Nursi. And I want our family to look this one up because of how well and parallel his life is with our Grand National Chairman. Betty Uzman Said Nursi was incarcerated by his own government, Turkey. They locked him up because he spoke out against Darwinism. He spent his whole life. Now, this was a man that seen Darwinism coming up as a philosophy, atheism and all that right there coming up. And he's seen it, so he sought out, you know, the opportunity to be able to give knowledge. And so he began to write books. So he has a massive collection. It got so crazy to where the people that became a part of his tutelage that he was teaching, he put them on the battlefield to go to war with those who was pushing the communist philosophy. You know, he was even captured in Russia. And in that particular state, this brother would write or be authoring his material while literally in warfare, according to the historical background of this one. While he on horseback, guns are blazing, so to speak, scimitar swinging. This particular one was writing the works because in his mind, he felt that if he died in battle, that the people needed to have the truth. Now, this brother, known as Said Nursi, Bedi Uzman Said Nursi, he was known as the wonder of the world because he was taught by some master teachers, and they recognized that this one was able to read books, and he could memorize every book that he read just by reading it. He read through the book and basically he had it. This is why they called him Bedi Uzman Said Nursi. And so when his authorship came, it came the same way. He was able to write these things and put a lot of things out there, and a lot of it was refuting. It was refuting atheism and Darwinism. But he was imprisoned by those in Turkey who had compromised the principles of Islam to the extent where they banned the Quran. They banned the wearing of the fez. All that took place during the time of Said Nursi. When they banned the fez, they banned the Quran, they banned anything Islamic, or even saying anything. So they incarcerated this brother on numerous occasions. They tried to poison him 19 times. And he came back with a revelation to those who was his disciples, and he told them they won't be able to kill me by poisoning me. Right? So he was captured by the Russians. And one day a soldier had came through, for him to stand in attention, so to speak, and Said Nursi refused to get up. He refused to stand up. And so they told him, some of the people that was around him, man, you need to stand up for these people will kill you. He refused to stand up. And so the commander of the army, the Russian commander, decided to come to him, and basically he gonna make him stand up. And he told him he wasn't standing up, because he was, a follower of the teachings of Islam. And he don't bow to no man, and he don't basically jump to the beat of no man. So they sentenced him to death. And so Said Nursi began to make supplication and do it, basically preparing himself. You're basically saying that, if y'all want to bring it, I'm ready to go. All y'all doing is giving me a passport, on a speedy flight, basically, to the great God. That's how he seen it. So as the guy came out of there that was over all of them, realized that he did this based on his faith, even though he had been sentenced to death and they was finna kill him, at gunpoint. They was gonna shoot him down, because they were shooting people down. Actually, he was like in line going up like next, and then right when he was getting ready to go up, he was approached. And that particular commander had a change of heart, and he said that, I know that you wasn't disrespecting me or my order or command. You only did it because of your faith. So he was able to escape Russia, and he ended back up in Turkey. He ended up there again, got exiled again. So this is a man, what I'm telling you, family, that has spent 89 years of his life in exile, being betrayed, turned out by his people. People tried to poison him, all because he stood up against an ideology that he knew would come into play. And his only dream and goal was to create a school. Al-Madrasa al-Azhar is what he called it. He wanted to teach the people because he felt that the Quran was superior and more supreme than anybody brought it on the manifest. And he prayed to the great God that he would give him the power to be able to show the superiority of the Quran over the atheistic and Darwinistic philosophy. But that particular one spent his whole life until he passed form eventually. It was all for striving for the Creator. It was all for trying to prove or demonstrate the divinity of what it means to be upright, independent, and fearless. And that's something that we have lost, because we have African rulers that demonstrated the same thing in the past. We have many of them that are shining examples of this type of behavior. But nevertheless, where's that spirit when it comes to us? Because all somebody got to do is say, if you do it, I'm going to lock you up. If you do it, I'm going to kill you. And most of our people become Judas overnight. Most of our people betrayed the trust. In the realm of a thought. This is because you don't really believe in the supreme reality. You believe that God is your slave master. You believe that God is your oppressor. Now, you can dress it up like you want to and call it what you want to, but this is the truth of the matter. So long story short, if you have not found something that you are willing to die for, willing to drop this guard for, then you definitely don't have anything that you are willing to live for. And you will spend your life fighting against those who you feel that are putting you in a dangerous position. Those who have the courage to stand on the front line and swing that scimitar of consciousness. You want them to be quiet. You want them to keep it cool. Because you think they stirring up the ethers. You want to live and sleep within the arms of death. And it very well may find you, in due time, if that's what you chose. But we are here to teach our people that they may live. We have the ability to raise our people and resurrect our people from this shallow grave of assumable jurisdiction. And that's what we're here to do. We don't put no limitations on that. And there's no one that can make us go in any other direction other than toward our liberation, other than the direction that leads to our freedom. So just as Ali told his story, he lived this, and we seen what it is that he went through. We also have to go through the same and overcome and become conquerors. You see? We too have the obligation of pressing along the thorny way of life until we rise and overthrow the strongest foes of Allah and man. And then we too will become masters of the human race, whose flesh is transmuted in the flesh divine. Facts. This is what we're talking about. This is what truth and reality meets. So this is a powerful draw, and we just want to say gratitude to all of those who have love within them, those who are sincere when it comes to that in which they are willing to stand in defense of, and also those who don't have the courage. We give honors to you too. That's why we're here to be strong. So that being said, family, what we're going to do, we're going to open up the floor. And we're going to also drop this link down here in the comment section, for anybody else that would like to come up on this panel and give their measure too. All are welcome, as long as you come in a respectful way. We don't do no cussing and hollering and hooping and arguing and fighting. We don't demonstrate like that. If you speak, then with a favorable reply, it will come to you. We see our family say, okay, peace to y'all. I'm gone now. Peace and love, family. We love you, brother. Gratitude. We get it. So at this time, we will open up the floor for our Moorish kin. Islam. Star 6 your phone, Moors.
Islam.
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 All right, Sister Curta Bay, what have you to say, goddess and queen?
Islam, Islam, Islam. I am Dr. Dinger Ania Kurtubay. First, let me rise and give praises to our great God Allah. I give honors to our holy prophet, Noble Jew Ali. I give honors to Act 1. I give honors to all my government officials, and I give honors to you, National Assistant Grand Chief, for this wonderful, wonderful, powerful class tonight. And as always, I've been saying all week, this whole chapter is a powerful chapter. And I was just sitting here looking at your title, your subject. He pressed, talking about Yehoshua, and also talking about our holy prophet Noble Drew Ali. He pressed along the thorny way of life till he had risen and overthrown the strongest foes of Allah and man. And then it says, he is now the only master of the human race whose flesh has been transmuted into flesh divine. And I would just like to say, Dr. Shahid, I tell you this, this whole chapter is such a powerful chapter. I've just been studying this chapter all week and meditating on what Yehoshua has said to us and what our prophet is teaching us in this chapter, and it's so powerful. And I would just like to encourage my Moorish kin, when he talks about he pressed along the thorny way. See, you gonna have tests and trials in life, and that's a given. You gonna have to go through some tests and trials, and when you stand up for what is true and what is right, you definitely will gonna go through some tests and trials. You probably will have people to turn their back on you. Even your closest friend, they may walk away from you, but that's all right. When you standing up for what's right, when you stand up for the truth, and then I encourage my Moorish kin, I encourage everyone who are listening, who hear my voice. I encourage everyone, family, choose ye this day who you gonna serve. Choose you this day if you gonna serve the great God Allah, or you gonna stay where you are. And it don't really matter, if you want to stay where you are, that's your choice. But I challenge you today to choose you this day, this time, this minute or hour. Choose this day who you gonna serve. And once you make that choice, you stand firm on it. And I encourage you to go to the www.morishamericangovernment.land and choose to come into this government where you can live. Because I tell you, you can't live in that corporation. And I tell you another thing, Great Babylon is falling. And if you want to go to Great Babylon, you're going to fall with Great Babylon, because it's been prophesied, and it is here now. It's been prophesied, but that prophecy is being fulfilled now. Great Babylon is falling. And we are here telling you the truth, teaching you the truth in love. We love you. We encourage you to come on home to your Moorish American government in which you can live, and proclaim your free national name in the government in which you can live. Come and accept the prophet, our prophet Noble Jew Ali, who he was the one who did everything for you, not no blonde hair, blue-eyed person. They ain't did nothing for you, ain't never set you free. I come out of the church. I'm not ashamed to say it, because I was set free. I come out of the church. The church never did nothing for me. They didn't save me. They couldn't save me. We teach right here in this Moorish American government. It takes a more to teach a more how to be a more. So when I was in the church, it wasn't no way they could save me, because they didn't even know that they was Moors. You can't get strength from weak sources, family. But like I say, I encourage you, come on home to your Moorish American government And reading this chapter here, I encourage you, if you don't have the Holy Quran, call headquarters and get you one. There's some powerful lessons that's coming out of here. And Yehoshua say he said he came as a demonstrator. He said, I am here now as a demonstrator to show you that you can do the same thing I did. This ain't no spookism, family. You're a God. But see what then happened to you? You just don't know you're a God. But you are a God. And you create your own reality. And I was just like I said, we love you. And but we gonna keep doing what we doing. We gonna keep getting on these calls and putting these messages out there, because we're not afraid. We ain't afraid of no death, none of that, because we already know we don't die. We multiply. But we know we don't die. We know when we lay this flesh down, we're gonna keep right on going. And so, Islam, God, man, this is such a powerful class. Like I say, that I encourage my Moorish kin, keep coming and keep listening to these calls and getting these teachings. I promise you, you can't sit here and listen to these teachings and your life not be changed. Because see, the prophet and the great God Allah is speaking through our officials here, and they say his words are spirit. And see, I know for a fact that when the prophets speak, your life will be changed. Keep coming. Just keep coming and watch the change in your life. Gratitude, God, man, for letting me share. Peace and love.
Islam, gratitude for the joy that you brought forth. Praise be to Allah. Islamism without the schism. Sister Curta Bay, powerful message. Islam, Brother Golden, Asher Smith Bay.
Yeah, we don't deal with schism anymore.
That's right. Islamism without the schism.
That's right.
As
like
Aliism.
the board said, it's just us. Just us. Well, we are enjoying all the great love of great of the universe. And as I said, it's the families say, like as I used to one night to the sanitary workshop of the mind, because, if these lessons of the family was talking last night, we have to become these lessons, these 5 principles, because that's what we are, We have to stand upright, independent, and fearless. So if the family is still walking up and, upside down, that's why I said, you won't be able to understand the lessons yet until they reverse themselves and get these lessons in such a way. That's why they say we have to all come back here at the head of the house where the Supreme Law is at and get these lessons, because I even see on the YouTube they have a lot of conference call, and that's why I say so much confusion within the family, the household, and so on. But when the truth is and the manifest, they come out with so much, to fool some of the family. But like they say, they can fool some of us sometimes. They can't fool all of us all the time. But once we open up their eyes and mind and get the truth. Because when I refer to this divine constitution, it didn't have the prayer at the end of it until I get this divine word called the head of the house. When it come and I see the prayer, I say, something was missing. So why they say they change up some of these things in these lessons, to keep the family down. But as I said, the family will wake up, come back together within the wisdom of the oneness, where we stand with the household built on the shoulders of that. So that I said, the family here, they're everywhere. The 60 million plus of us. But that he said, the young and yet one will come with their eyes wide open. Divine family. One love.
Islam, Captain Grand Sheep, can't hear you.
I'm trying to see here. Okay. I thought somebody was trying to come in there a few minutes ago on the line before Golden Asher Smith Bay first.
Islam.
Islam, who is that?
Dr. Larry Daniels Bay,
Okay, Islam. That was you that cleared your throat earlier.
Islam.
Okay, I know I heard somebody. Go ahead, Grand Man.
Dr. Larry Daniels Bay. First I rise and give praise. South Carolina Council agent. First I rise and give praise and glory to Allah, the most merciful. And I give high honors to his holy and divine prophet, El Hajj Sharif Abdul Ali, the last prophet in these days and time. And I give honors to Act 1 of our divine constitution. And I honor you, God, man, from opening up the way for us, Moors. It's always great class. And I honor all my brothers and sisters online. Peace and blessings. Peace and love. Well, brother, we have become that people that, we want to be in opposition of one another, but it's like this right here. Once you really take hold to that gospel plow, right? You know, and then once this happened, and then it's like you really is digging in, and getting the meat of this lesson, because the prophet ain't bring us nothing but freedom. It's the truth. Because it's the only thing that can really lift us up and give us something that we could stand on. Because as a people, we could stick our chests out and do all kind of things, but the prophet taught us everything is governed by laws. you know and 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 what, like, when you take hold of that gospel plow and learn what the prophet got, you can take it and lead men for your own personal advantages, like Father Divine, Daddy Grace, and a lot of others. Or you can take it and follow the directions and the instructions that the prophet has given us, and not try to fleece the people, but try to bring us together as a nation of people, to bring us together as that's the only way we're gonna be. Like I tell people all the time, yeah, by myself I can save myself, but being by myself, I can do not much. But imagine all of us on the right mindset. Man can discern himself with the changing of the weather, when it's going to rain and all of these things, but he can't look out into this world and see that. That's because we have been so domesticated that our people, it's sad, but it's true. Like the prophet said, some of them just don't want to be free, but the thing is, all the more can do is keep pushing forward, because we see our people dropping by the wayside and thinking that this is normal. Some of them say, well, he lived 70 years. That was a long time. What? And there's no such thing as a natural death. You know what I'm saying? All of them leaving it with some type of sickness or disease or pain, because we have been so domesticated. I just say it just like that, domestication. Because anytime, the Stockholm syndrome get as deep as it has gotten on us as the people, we should never want to think in opposition of one another, but to learn how to love with those principles of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, because we got to be going somewhere, because nobody had, like you said, brother, nobody hadn't lifted us out that grave until the prophet came, because that show was deep and getting deeper until he came and grabbed me by my mind. Peace and blessing, Islam.
Islam and peace and blessings. Yeah, brother. Everybody want to talk about unity. Everybody want unity, but don't nobody want to unite. Islam. And that's the problem. Ones is so worried about being led. The prophets, they don't worry about, basically get behind him. Stop trying to figure out your way. And that's the problem. Our people, even in their ignorance, they don't want somebody to guide them. The great God appoint leadership for them, and they fight against that leadership. That's the problem. That's what happened with the children of Israel. That's what happened with the Arabs in Mecca. That's what happened even in Kemet. And it's happening right now amongst our people. They scared to get on the front line. They got leadership out there getting on the front line, but they don't want to follow suit. And ain't nobody telling them to do nothing. Ain't nobody making them do nothing. You see, ones can get ones a divine instruction and say, go build, God, man. But make sure you build within accordance with the protocol. Ones will go and do it their own way and then get mad when they get put in check on. And that's what tell different bodies of discipline down. Because ones don't like to be corrected. So we can't put that on leadership when you know you got good leadership. You got to point that at the individual. Let's keep it real. So Islam. All right. Any other more who would like to come forth and give their message?
Islam.
Islam, Dr. Marvin, Nathaniel Evans Bay. Come on in here, God, man.
Gratitude for calling me.
Make the ethers vibrate.
Yes, sir. Well, rising, giving all praise. Well, I did give my name. This is Dr. Marvin Evans Bay out of the Texas Consulate, Consul General of the Texas Consulate, rising and giving all praises to the great God of Allah, giving highest honor to his prophet, our prophet Noble Drew Ali, El Hajj Sharif Abdul Ali. Give high honors to our theocratic government, our Moorish American government. Give high honors to our Act 1. Give high honors to all of our officials. Give high honors to this class, our Moorish Prospectus class, as well as I give honors to you, Dr. Shedu Amitia Mohisis as well, our National Assistant Grand Sheik of Moorish America, for hosting and instructing this Moorish Prospectus class, and for all that you do for your Moorish American government. We give you honor. I give honors to all those that aided in bringing forth this class this evening. Give honors to everything that is Moorish, our flag, our seal, our emblem, our divine constitution, our holy Quran, our book of Ali, our 101, 102s, our exhuming of a nation. All my divine revelations I give honor. Give honor to the forerunner, Dr. Marcus Mose Garvey L., as well as I give honor to the ancestors whose shoulders we stand upon. Give honor to all those that gave their measures before me, and all that will give their measures after me. Very powerful class. It's, I know we have a certain protocol and when we have our classes, you know what I mean? And this platform, be say like on YouTube and on the internet, and I was just noticing that, the comments, you know what I mean? Like usually maybe one don't understand that, we allow our instructor or the host to give his measure. And then one can, if they want to say something other than, give you honors while you're there, to wait for time for we give our measures. So maybe they don't understand that. Because if they just gonna just say things to distract the flow, and I know that you command, your own thought pattern. You don't allow others to take you off, your square, so to speak. But just for those that don't understand that when they're here in this Moorish American government, and this is a Moorish American government class, if you have some questions, wait till the time is allotted for that. Just say Islam or Shalom or whatever your preference is, and allow the speaker to give their message. I think this is a very powerful class. Anytime we stand up before the world, and stand in defense of our prophet Noble Drew Ali, who came to save fallen humanity, who came to save us from our sinful ways. And then we're going to go back and still exhibit these lower thought patterns, because that's all it is. Because when we're in our higher self, we're always trying to build, not trying to tear down. There's got to be a common ground so that where we can build. But if we're always trying to cause misdirection, then it's suspect. as to what your purpose is. And so, but that's just one thing, because I'm not usually say, seeing these comments on here like I'm able to do tonight. But God, man, I really appreciate all that you do, and we know that Yehoshua, was a prophet. Allah sent them to the word for his people, just as Noble Drew Ali did. He's a prophet, and he came to save us here in this West. And like the brother mentioned, Sheikh. Hold on a sec. I just want to make sure. I know I got his books. Sheikh Anta Diab. You know what I mean? Very powerful brother. One of the ancestors. I mean, we have so many brothers that stood up. You know what I mean? And assisted in this magnanimous mission, cause that's why we had to have a prophet to come, because we were buried 5 times more deeper than any people. We didn't know our language. And the brother spoke about the destruction of our culture in Kemet. Yeah, they went everywhere. You know what I mean? They plundered and pillaged all of our institutions of study, of learning. You know what I mean? That's why we are here today. You know what I mean? This is why we have a Moorish American government to address this. So if we could come together, you know what I mean, we can get the job done. I mean, the job's going to get done anyway, because we know that Allah is leading on and victory is assured. So, it's just a beautiful thing to be a part of this divine and national movement. And I'm here, I'm standing online with my officials and my Moorish kin, and those that would like to learn more how they can be more effective, because it's all about studying the self. It's all about purifying our hearts and minds. It's not about trying to sound all intelligent, so scholarly. Let's do something, get something done. Anyway, gratitude, God, man, for allowing me to speak. Islam in peace.
And gratitude for the work you do, General. And that's the main function, brother. Everything it is that we see need to be done, we need to take the initiative to do it. You see, when we see the need for us to have a government website, we got out there and created that. You see, when we see that we need a forum so that our people can learn their language and learn the language truly of our ancestors, we put it out there. When we seen the need, of being able to be just on the front lines and establish a consortium, we demonstrated that. You see, and so our people have to get up off of their hands, and start doing the work of uplifting themselves and fallen humanity. We give honors to you, General Dr. Marvin Nathaniel Evers Bey, for that powerful measure. Islam. It's easy to point out the problem. We want to see some solutions. Powerful measure, Consul General. Is there any other more who would like to come forth and give their portion? All right, it's a few more minutes. Islam, Muhammad Bey.
Islam and gratitude, National Assistant Grand Sheikh of Moorish America. Islam, grand class as always. Yes, I am Dr. Jar Hamid Muhammad Bey, Consul General of the Moorish American Consulate of South Carolina. First, let me rise in praise of our Father God, Allah, who is the best known arranger of all things. I give the highest honors to our Prophet Noble Drew Ali, who is the last prophet of this new era of time now. He is the 7th manifestation in divine flesh, the 7th angel, Al-Haj Sharif Abdul Ali. I give honors to Act 1 of our divine constitution and bylaws. I give honors to our grand national seal, our grand national emblem, and our grand national flag. I give honors to this theocratic government in which we all live and can live. I give honors to Marcus Mosiah Garvey L., the forerunner to our beloved Prophet Noble Drew Ali. And I give honors to all of our Moorish kin, all of our visitors and listeners in the public on this very, very enlightening live stream conference call and study session this evening. I give honors to those that spoke before me and those that will speak after me. And I give honors to everything Moorish. So, Grand, as always, much honor and love to you, Grand Man, for the lesson this evening. And, you know, from what I picked up, you know, like reading with Ayat, started in Ayat 35, he told the story of his human life, of trials, sore temptations, buffeting, and woes. He pressed along the thorny way of life till he had risen and overthrown the strongest foes of Allah and man. And he is now the only master of the human race whose flesh has been transmuted into flesh divine. Man, that is so powerful. And everything that you brought forth, God, man, is talking about this because, see, when we're dealing with this subject matter, you spoke about Yehoshua of 2,000 years ago being what is termed as the firstborn and resurrected of the dead. From a Moorish perspective, we're talking about being resurrected in your mind. See, we have been in a dead state. And we were in a dead state because we were given a mind that was other than who the great God made us to be. We were given the mind to think that we were Black, that we were African American, and many other different government defined labels, because each and every one of these so-called titles has a specific mindset that goes with it. So we have to rise. We have to be resurrected and restored to our natural state of being. This whole lesson is about us being risen from the dead. Now we come to this new era of time that we're living in right now. Many of our brothers and sisters are looking for Yehoshua, whom they call Jesus, to come in the clouds out of the sky. But if you actually go into the understanding of that scripture, him coming in the clouds, it actually means him coming amongst the crowds of the people. It's not, as you said, God, man, we're not talking about no spookism here. We're talking about reality. So now we come to, he said he would return. And when you go into the scripture, it says he would return as the spirit of the truth. This is very, very unique. So Prophet Noble Drew Ali comes, as you stated. He's born here in North America. He's born during the time of Jim Crowism in a state of slavery. He is unique from the time that he was born. He distributes and shows very miraculous abilities. That's what they call it. For us in our natural state, it's not miraculous, it's natural. But anyway, going on, Prophet Noble Drew Ali, just like Yehoshua or Jesus of 2,000 years ago, he represents the resurrection. He represents the firstborn, resurrected Moorish American, whom these people call Black here in America. And by him being the firstborn, resurrected Moorish American, he had a duty, just like Yehoshua or Jesus of 2,000 years ago. What was his duty? His duty and his responsibility was to teach his people how to be them true selves. They said of Jesus 2,000 years ago, Yehoshua, is this not the carpenter's son? See, talking about familiarity that we do even today, you know. They said of Prophet Noble Drew Ali, is this not the magician whom we are familiar with? Because that's what some people looked at him at. You understand? Because they didn't understand the nature of divinity in man. So now he continues, as you said, grand man, he gives his life to bring these teachings to us, his people, because he loved us so much. He didn't care, just like many of us here today. That's who we represent, folks. We are the ones who have inherited the spirit of Prophet Noble Drew Ali, which is the spirit of the truth. And we are willing, just as the brother is presenting now, we present these things to you in love, not to harm, but in love, because we too at one time lived that life of gangsterism, death and destruction, greed, lust, and all those other things that they have us following. But this is a new era of time, family. We got to wake up. I will end with this. For those who prefer the scripture, in the book of Revelations 17, this is the divine directive and warning. It says, come out of her, my people, lest you share in her sins and partake in her plagues. That means if we do not come out of that mindset, as this says in there, transmuted, if we don't transmute and transform out of that blackism, that African Americanism, we're going to be sharing in the sins that the people that created those things have done. We will be charged as being just as guilty and responsible for those crimes. So come out of that. Come home. This is the Moorish American government. This is your nation. This is our government. Marcus Messiah Garvey said this, who was the forerunner to the prophet. He prepared the way. He said, no race is free until they have a strong nation and government of their own and their own society. Prophet Noble Drew Ali came after him and said, I have brought you everything you need to save yourself as a nation of people. Take it and save yourselves. That's what time it is. It's nation time. Moorish American nation time. www.moorishamericangovernment.land. Islam and gratitude is the grand class. Thanks for letting me share, grand man.
National Sister Grand Sheik. Secretary, did he drop?
Yes, I see him on the board. Dr. Shahid, if you're speaking more, we can't hear you.
What about now? My signal going in and out more. Can
We
you
hear
hear
you.
me?
We hear you now, more. Gratitude.
Okay, I see what happened. Okay, so gratitude, Morris Ken. All right. We want to give honors to our Morris Ken for all that you do to uplift fallen humanity. Allah's leading on, victory is sure. And honors to everybody that demonstrated, the measure that was given to them, a place within their heart, uplifting fallen humanity. So we want to give honors to Prophet Noble Drew Ali and bear witness to his story that has been told to us. And now that we can have an example and be able to live accordingly. So Islam. At this time, we're going to call on our officials. We'll start by calling on the beloved goddess and queen, Sister Alcetta Monel, if she present.
Islam.
Okay, Islam, you there, sis? Can you hear me?
Yes, can you hear me?
Okay, yeah, I just wanted to make sure you got me. Okay.
Okay, Islam. Gratitude. First, let me rise and give all praises to Allah and all honors to our Prophet of Ali, honors to our Moorish American government, our officials of our government, and our citizens. Honors to you, God man, our national assistant, British Sheikh of Moorish America, Dr. Shadu Messi, and Shepwell, for bringing forth the grand Moorish perspective this evening. Honors to our guests on live stream. Honors to our Moorish citizens, divine ministers, Act 1. Honors to the goddess, Sanatini Heteruel, Grand Secretary, National Grand Secretary of the State of Indiana, for taking registration and reading our subject chapter per week. Honors to our motion for all the measures brought forth. Honors on our topic, coming from Ayat 35 and 36. He told the story of his human life, of trials, no temptations, buffeting, and woes. He pressed along the turning way of life till he had risen and overthrown the strongest foes of Allah and man. And he is now the only master of the human race whose flesh has been transmuted into flesh divine. And in your measure, you demonstrated that we have to do the same thing dealing with our foes, that lower self, that carnal nature that sometimes tries to pull us backwards and undo what the prophet has taught us. And when I think about the foes, what I have learned over the years from my prophet, that's what he said, keep your prophet out front. And so when he says that, he means the 5 divine principles of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. In order to master oneself, you must constantly seek to undo the curse, the fear, the indoctrination, the falsehood that has been done to us as a people. Each and every one of us is responsible for self. We are accountable for our own actions. And so our prophet told us, I have forgiven you for what you have done before you met me. But now you're accountable for your action now that you know who you are. That's why he says, it'll be better for you not to have taken hold to that gospel plow than to take hold of it and then turn around and let go and go back to the world.
Islam, you there, Sister Alcetta?
And I'm Islam, gratitude. And so he said this because he understood once you let go of the gospel plan, you decide to go back into the world,
of naught and falsehood and self-harm and all these things that our people do to ourselves. The Shaddai used to say something. He said, when people really hurt is to realize when you hurt others, you're really hurting yourself. When you're doing justice to others, you're really doing injustice to yourself, because it will return to you. It will magnify itself and manifest itself in your life. So if we were truly conscious in the things that we do to each other, if we really do it, if we knew that it was going to backfire on us. And so, and of course the answer is no. And that's why when the God-man Muhammad says, oh man, I lost my train of thought. When he said, let me just put my attention, but it's really the same thing, but it's in another form. But it deals with us knowing the truth and following the prophet's laws and being about our Father's word, doing what our Father, our God Allah, intended for us to do, being who He intended us for us to be, who He knows we have the possibility of being, that love made manifest, knowing that we have to stop being that ego, letting that ego have rule, and dipping into that lower self. Don't let anyone take you off your square. It's a constant unfoldment. It's a constant unification with our prophet's teachings. It's a constant constantly keeping our love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice the way our prophet taught it to us out front, because it's lessons learned every day. And so as we go forth teaching and uplifting fallen humanity, we're learning lessons also, how to deal with our people, how to help our people, how to assist our people, how to govern ourselves, because like Brother Justice always says, they watch you more than they listen to you. And so all of this is part of our unfoldment as divine ministers. So it's a constant teaching, but as long as we keep that love up front, keep our prophet up front, constantly study these divine lessons, we can't do nothing else but move forward and unfold as gods and goddesses. Because that's just who we are. That's our nature, to be the truth manifested in human flesh. Islam is very super coming forth.
In Islam, and gratitude, sister, all set for that measure. You know what I mean? And we just say gratitude, praise be to Allah. And may our people learn how to follow the prophet, you know, and keep the prophet out front, and all is well. Islam. Okay. But let us call forth our National Grand Mufti, Dr. Khonshu Ma'at Heru Bey. Islam, you there, Grand Man?
Islam.
Islamism without the schism.
That's my religion, Islam. Gratitude, Grandma. Call us forth. We rise first and foremost, giving all thanksgiving, adoration, worship, and praise to our Father God, Allah, the great God of the universe, most beneficent and most wise. And we give the highest honors that we can give to His prophet, our prophet, the last prophet in these days and in these times, Prophet Noble Drew Ali, Sheikh Sharif Abdullah Ali, the savior of humanity. We give honor to his forerunner, Marcus Mosiah Garvey, and we give honor to his government, our government, the Moorish American government, the government in which we live, according to Act 6. We give honor to the officials of this said government, our divine ministers, Swift Angels and Mufti, our royal council, our secretary. We give honor to our citizens, the Moorish Americans. We give honor to our flag, our divine constitution and bylaws, our Holy Quran, our Grand National Seal, Grand National Emblem,
our book of fire, the exhuman of a nation. We give honors to everything that is Moorish. We give a special high honor to you, National Sister Grand Sheikh, Dr. Shadu Amiti and Matthew Shepsu El, for bringing forth this grand Moorish perspective this evening. We give honor to all of our Moorish kin who have spoken before us, to our Moorish kin that will speak after us. We give honors to you, angels. We continue to give honors where honors are due, and honoring all true and divine prophets. And yes, we give honors to our ancestors as they have come before us, leading the way. And we are them today without doubt or contradiction, because no one has the power to change man from his descent nature. And praise Allah for that. And it's been a grand class. Muslim and the Moorish King have come and brought their mighty perspectives. And I just want to add, especially to the ayat, where it talks about, him going over his life, or then discussing his life. And I think it's important to recognize that Yehoshua got to the point that he got to because of the work that he put in, because of the time and effort that he put in, not because someone just, ushered him in there, but he had to do the work. Even being a prophet, he still had to have the motivation and still do the work, still go through the tests, the trials, the temptations. And that's the same thing that our prophet did. A prophet could have did many things with the information that he was privy to, but he stuck, and he stuck to the ordination of listening to his people. And I think, we have to respect that. You got to respect the longevity, the dedication. See, there's a lot of ones who don't want to respect that. And that's a problem when it comes to the example that he said that what I do, all men were able to be able to do. But that still comes with the work. He didn't say just because I did it, you can do it. The example is, as you said, that it's an example. And the example is that the work has to be put in, time has to be put in. Some we see this day and age, YouTube scholars, ones coming in, and even into the government, thinking that they know more than those who have come before them. And even if they feel that they know more, they have not put any time or effort in. And that is where we should be putting respect in. Ones can say a lot of things, but if you don't see it in their actions, it works in their deeds, then how can you give it any relevance? I know that we stand on the shoulders of giants, and so this is why we had to give honors to those that come before us. And it's very important to recognize that where we at right now is not because merely of what we've done, but because of the ones who have come before us. And not to honor that and not to give it precedence in one's thought pattern is a problem. And the solution, as you said, that we deal with, the solution is to honor that. It is to do as our Father God Allah explained to us through our prophet, is that, you honor your father and your mothers, that your days may be longer on the earth land. And see, that's one thing that Yehoshua will demonstrate and continue to demonstrate even through his transmutation. And this is why the ones that knew his life and the ones that he influenced respected it and bear witness to it. So you got people who Moors who, have no record, have no resume, as they say, as far as putting the time in and uplifting their people. And we've seen how that reflected, through the ages after our prophet. A prophet came and brought the lesson, then you had ones come and usurp it, and they took a little bit over here, they took a little bit over there, but they never wanted to give the credit to our prophet, and which is why their organizations and the things they didn't last, didn't prosper to the fullest extent that they may have hoped that they wanted to, because that wasn't ordained by Allah. the one who was ordained by Allah, the great God, to come through, you try to usurp him. All the works and all the acts and all the trials and temptations and all the things that he went through to bring us liberation was try to sweep that under the rug, like it don't mean nothing. But yeah, he is the one, as it says, that stood the first of the age, transmute the flesh divine, and you got to respect that. Just because one say they can do it and they ain't gone away, how can you give one a respect? How can you give respect to one who's halfway when there's one who actually does, who's done the work? As the prophet said, before I even say anything, I've already done it. And we find ourselves in this day and age, a lot of our people running after people who say they can do things, but the work has not even been done. These ones out here running around talking about, yeah, you can get this, you can get that, but they, just send me some money. I'll give you this paperwork, but there's no proof of pudding of the things that they've done. They can't show you nothing that shows any that works to any amount. So they works acts and deeds, and so that's, to me, a key issue when we have to look at our prophet and say, yeah, this is the prophet that belongs to us. We can see in his work activity, we can see how ones have bitten or took what he brought and turned it. So you got to give the credit to him. You got to give the credit to where the credit is due. No one else has come and told you who you were. No one else has come to claim you as a nation of people. No one else has come and gave you the true, lawful understanding of who you were until Prophet Noble Drew Ali came and demonstrated the rise and bringing the dead back to life, because we was dead under the chattel brand names and laws set up by the oppressor or one of our oppressors to keep us in bondage. But he came and showed us how to transmute this cardinal thought that we had into one of divine, how to go from a slave mentality to a free man's mentality, and to be able to use that to save ourselves. Because it's enough to save a nation, but we can take it to save ourselves. And that's very important and a very powerful demonstration as we look at, I think, as we look at the chapter and what's being said, is that you got to give respect to the prophet. You got to give respect to those who come before you leading the way. Without the respect, it's easy to say, I'm on top of the world when you standing on a building that was built by 100 generations before you. But without the ones that gone before you, where would you be standing? On some flat ground. We can't do it by ourselves. We can't demonstrate understanding of being a clean and pure nation without someone coming forth and demonstrating what that really means. Because why? Because we've been taught to be other than who we truly are, other than what's clean and pure, other than what's going to bring us into the marvelous light. And so, this is why it's so important as our Moorish American government continue to bring forth these lessons to show our people that this is where it's at. This is where, do your research, do your study, and you'll see that Allah sends a prophet to every people that is gone through these things, and that you are worthy, that we are worthy as a people, nation of people, to receive a prophet, and that prophet is in the form of Prophet Noble Drew Ali. How do we know? Because it's obviously so. Because if you go into the record books, if you go into the works, acts, and deeds, you'll see. Others want to name you Negro. Others want to name you color. Others want to name you African American. Others want to name you anything other than a child of God. Anything other than something that connected you to your heritage. And so while they may have sound slick while they were talking, the works and acts of deeds don't line up with who the true credit goes to, and who the true, as you said, leader, the one's supposed to be following behind or stepping, following the footsteps of. Everyone else is sold out. Everyone else is sold out people out. Just like them soldiers that was marching around that grave for some mere silver, for some mere pieces of gold, some fiat. While the prophet paid the ultimate price to show you that Allah and man are one. And you could do grand things because you are a child of God. As a child of God, you are the Lord of the plane of soul and the Lord of the plane of things made manifest. And that all you got to do is connect yourself back to your Father God, Allah. All you got to do is take on your own birthrights and do the things that are necessary to establish your own, which means coming into your own, knowing yourself, and knowing the one who's giving you what you inherited, your Father God, Allah. But knowing thyself and our Father God, Allah, brings one to an understanding that you are right in the right spot when you're in your Moorish American government. Because this is a theocratic government, a government that's ruled by the great God, and not the mere opinions of men, not by the slick talking, snake oil salesmen, door-to-door salesmen who promise you a pie in the sky or get rich quick scheme, one who's going to truly show you the true way to salvation, which takes some work, which takes, of course, some dedication, and which takes some submission to Allah, meaning that one has to realize that they don't know everything, that they do have to submit that it ain't going to always go your way, that you got to go the way that Allah has seen for you to go. And though, even though you might not be able to see the end, but if you, the final end point, the journey is going to be the most important thing for you to learn, because in the end, you realize there is no death for man. Because as long as Allah is leading on, as long as Allah is alive, you know, there's no death for man. Because we are a part and parcel of the great God. Because we come from him. He created us out of his essence. And I think that's, you know, part of the lesson that your host was teaching, that, hey, you know, when you can come into the consciousness of the understanding of Allah and man are one, then you can transmute this demonstration. And you go to the ones who you know, the ones who have seen your journey, and you can be the proof of your Messiah, or you can be the message that you bring, which is that redemption, everyone can be redeemed. But it's about the work that you put in. It's not about how slick you can make it sound. It's about the work you put in. If you ain't put in no work, then there is no reward. You know, if you ain't putting no time correcting your acts and your deeds and making a speedy reparation for those indiscretions and loyal thoughts, then there is no elevation. There is no true elevation for one who thinks that mere recitation is a sign of elevation. So it's been a grand class. Gratitude for the class this evening. Gratitude to you, Moorish America, for being here with us to give us your time, attention, respect. We love you. Islam and peace.
And Islam and peace, Grand Mufti, for that grand droid. Praise be to Allah. Islamism without the schism. That's right. We got to be what we want to see. You know, and so gratitude and praise be to Allah for all that you do, standing in defense of the nation. All right. Let us call forth our Grand National Secretary of the State of Moorish America, Sister Hatshepsut Rakat Ma'at and Pooh, to come and bay. Islam, you there, Goddess and Queen?
Sister Thought, gratitude.
Islamism.
Islam.
Peace and love.
Islam, Moorish Ken. First of all, praise Allah. I want to rise, giving all praise to our Father God Allah, giving honor to our prophet, Noble Drew Ali, the last prophet in these days and times, giving honor to our Moorish American government, all of our officials, staff, the angels, muftis, divine ministers, most especially our Moorish kin. Giving honor to all those Moors that spoke before me, all those Moors that will speak after me. Also giving honor to our family online. Welcome home to your Moorish American government. Much gratitude to you all for your listening ear. Giving a special honor to our National Assistant Grand Sheikh of Moorish America, Dr. Shedda Wamenti Elma Hedgetshep Suel, that opened our meeting according to law and also hosted a Grand Moorish Perspectives class this evening. Also giving honor to our National Grand Secretary, State of Indiana, Dr. Sayanathi Nuheta Ruel, for taking registration and reading our subject chapter for the week. Our subject matter, coming from Ayat 35, Ali told the story of his human life, of trials, sore temptations, buffeting, and woes. He pressed along the thorny way of life till he had risen and overthrown the strongest foes of Allah and man. And he is now the only master of the human race whose flesh had been transmuted into flesh divine. Dr. Shaheed, I tell you covered so much ground, and much gratitude to you more for these keys that you brought forth. And I tell you, the thing that really stood out to me was dealing with why did our prophet Noble Drew Ali tell the story? See, we've got to give our prophet honor that he completed his mission. He came to uplift us as a people. He told us that we've got to study self, gave us our history, recognizing the importance of relying upon our Creator, etc. So we recognize the fact that the prophet had to give us the example of the possibilities of man so that we would know which way to go. And it just caused me to reflect on chapter 1, without a foe, a soldier never knows his strength. And thought has got to be developed by the exercise of strength. If you don't get tested, okay, if you don't have buffetings, and when you look up that word buffetings, it's just constant beat down, constant bash upside the wall. But see, this is dealing with a mental degree. We're not speaking about somebody literally or physically beating you up. It's what? The enemy is your own lower self. Those negative thoughts that you cater to and in some instances have made your God because you refuse to let it go. So this is the thing that we have got to fight against, because by us being God, we create conditions that we cannot govern. And it is part of wisdom to learn how to govern the conditions that we create, because we are the Lord of both of these planes. And so, this has just been a grand measure. And we definitely have to, when the prophets speak about learning how to love instead of hate, you're going to be tested. It's how you respond to those particular tests. You can either let it overtake you, or you can rise above it and become stronger in that. Just like you go to a gym, in order for you to conquer or master anything, you got to constantly work on it. That's the same when it comes down to the study of the self. The only one that brought this to us was our prophet Noble Drew Ali. So we are the ones. He said he brought us everything, so we got to figure out what it is that he brought to us and use it. So gratitude more for calling me forth. Much peace and love to all my Moorish kin. Islam.
In Islam. And gratitude, Grand National Secretary of the State, for that draw, and praise be to Allah. Islamism without the schism. It don't get no plainer than that. Praise be to Allah. Well, all right. Well, let us call forth our Grand National Chairman, Dr. Akin Acton Pert M. Rule, Tutankhamun Bay. Islam, you there, Grand Man?
The thought.
Islam, that's the thought the Prophet brought.
Islam, let me rise and praise to Allah, and honor the Prophet Noble Drew Ali. Just so much honor to everything that Noble Drew Ali brought to save us as the nation of people, and our government, our flag, our history, he put us on the Thank you. Praise the Lord for it. And we also want to extend much honor to our staff, our officials, our government, and for the great work and magnanimous job that we have been assigned to and doing. And it's a grand tour, including the dress that we put on you, everything from your feathers to your turbans to, it's just a wonderful thing, Moors. And, the thing about it is, we're looking at this design and the fact that it was this chronological order of events that took place before Yehoshua even became 30 years of age. These are the times in which we have measured grossly to the measure that for us being divine ministers and about this divine national movement, we are now, as a government, taking the place of this special angel when he was by himself. But we are now here as a whole entire government to do the entire work that he was doing. And the reason why this work has been committed to us to do, because we have undergone slavery, misnomers, misnamed, and some of everything else. If you ask somebody who in the Moorish American nation right now has people on the brain, couldn't even tell you. That's how much of a deficit we've been put into. But the thing about it is, Allah didn't do it. Okay? Allah prepared the way for us to prepare. So we're talking about the chronological order now to come out of that deficit and into the magnanimous movement that was designed with the divinity in mind. So it's just a magnanimous thing more. And I want to extend my honors to all and each and every one of you, because we're in an era time now that people have been dreaming about, reading about, writing about, and talking about it. This has been going on for centuries, but we are now here. Praise the Lord for it. Islam, we love you more. See you mañana.
Islam, we give honors to your grand man, honors to all that you do, all that you've done, and all that you will continuously do. Praise be to Allah, Islamism, without the schism. Well, all right. Well, at this time, let us call forth our National Grand Sheikh, Dr. Serapis Amin Rael. Islam, you there, National Grand Sheikh? Islam is.
Can you hear me, God name?
Oh yeah, we hear you loud and clear with divine ears.
That means voice America can hear it. Praise a lot. Give a lot of praise, rise, and give the highest honors to his love, thoughts, and came, and taught us everything it takes to save a nation. He said, take it and save yourself. Proper number 2 Ali. Honors to our officials and our staff, as well as our Grand Mufti, Sister Grand Mufti, Grand Mufti Corps, Divine Ministers, Student Ministers alike, Royal Council, our citizens, sympathizers, and supporters. Our flag, and everything that it takes for the more to be ourselves. Book of Pride, Book of Ali. Just a grand demonstration teaching us how to be free, how to be ourselves. And truly, Shaheed, always hitting it out of the ballpark, so to speak. A home run, if you can use that as a metaphor for the great work that's being done here, even at this hour. Grand demonstration showing us what's true and what is falsehood, and also falsehood which seems to be true, and how one is marred in that falsehood so deep that he thinks the falsehood is the truth, and willing to go to the next level to be the devil in defense of the truth. And you distilled all those myths, and praise Allah for you, that soft voice of Allah's message
being brought through you to give it to our people so that they can understand what is upon them, why they are here upon this planet Earth, and who they are upon this planet Earth. And they're more than a myth in somebody's fairy tale, a fantasy they create. We know that these are real ones, the only ones that can carry out the messages that Allah wants us to carry out. And we're not only here, but we're there and everywhere. We praise Allah for all ones that are here to bring forth that grand demonstration. We call these ones the ones that we're waiting on. And they're here. That's Chairman just spoke on. And I guess I can release that to the public. Just get ready because it's going to be a great day. It's already a great day. It's going to be a greater day. And so praise Allah for our prophets, to every official in this government, the work that you try to do every day. Thank you. Praise Allah for you. Honest to our prophet. January 15, 1929, I wanted one of the prophets to be read in every meeting. I hereby inform all citizens they must end all radical, agitated speeches while they work in their on the streets. Whoever peace and not destruction, top class their cards, the Europeans that cause confusion. Remember your cards for your salvation. Failure to play these orders will give severe consequences. We have to love truth, peace, freedom, and justice. And when these principles are violated, justice will take its course. Any citizen or group of citizens who open their feelings towards the government or the prophet or violate the divine covenant of the Moorish movement will receive their reward from Allah for their unjust deeds. All true Moors will and must obey the law that laid down to them by their prophet. They lose confidence in their prophet. They should turn in their guard and button. She's running children's affairs and return to the state where the prophet found it. This is always a divine movement founded by the prophet number 2 Ali, and the prophet is not right. The government is not right. The prophet, therefore, is setting out the divine pleas of all Moors Americans. They do their part in protecting the prophet and the government. This is an everlasting movement founded by the prophet and the will of Allah to redeem his people from their sinful ways. For all the prophet number 2 Ali. This divine warning is supreme laws now and will be enforced by the said government hereby. Islam, Islam, Islam. Follow the covenant of the Asiatic nation. You're the children, one father, provided for by his care, and the rest of one mother has given you, son. The divine reflection, therefore, unite thee with our brothers, that these establishments dwell in our father's house. And when you separate in the world, remember the relation that binds you to love and unity, and to burn not a stain for thy own blood. Thy brothers and the brothers of your sister. If our sister is in trouble, slake her not. So shall the fortunes of our Father contribute to the support of his whole race, and the care be continued to you all in your love to each other. Islam, Islam, Islam. This meeting is officially closed according to Act 2 of our divine Constitution, and love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Go in peace, more tomorrow's up Sunday scheme. We'll see you at that time. Long live America.
It's long. It's long. Great class, brother
Great
Shaheed.
class. Great
Great
class.
class. Great class, Sister Grand Chief.
Love
As
you,
always,
boys.
elevate the Moors. Make the Moors think.
Love you, boys.
We love you, Grand Chief. We love you, Sister Grand Chief.
And where you need to be.
Islam, Moors. We love you with love and divinity.
North American government.
Love you, Swift Angel number 1.
Moors in Sunday school tomorrow.
Islam. Love you, North America.
Moorish America.
Islam.
For the nation to rise.
Islam. Islam.
Allah leading on and victory is assured.
Islam. Praise be to Allah in man, the Moorish American nation. We love you, Moors. Peace and love.
My love.
Divine Dad, number 1 defender. One love.
Islam.
Peace and love. Peace and love. Divine
Peace and
Dad.
love.
One love.
Islam. And we want to give honors also to those who came and observed this special measure that we brought forth. Praise be to the great God Allah, and honors to his holy prophet, and we have a grand drawing to bring every week. So y'all tune in, everybody welcome. It's all love, it's all love. So gratitude, family. Keep it on the high.
So what did Tin Wolf do?